Honorable Koza.
Greetings, Chairperson. Greetings to all the people on the platform attending this meeting. Chair, I've been covered to a certain degree by the colleagues that have spoken before us. What I would have asked is, yes, the contradictory statements that were received when the incident first happened. The Office of the Deputy President issued a statement to say that he was not part of the convoy. Later, we find out that even in court, one of the suspects mentioned that the Deputy President was part of the convoy. We want to be taken into confidence once and for all whether he was there, yes or no. So that has been addressed in detail. Chair, the next matter that I would like clarified, particularly by the SAPS, is that there are two processes. There's a criminal case that is ongoing. I think IPET has alluded to that, and it's before the court. But also there's an internal SAPS disciplinary process that is being undertaken. I want to find out, or we wish to be told specifically that the internal disciplinary matter will proceed irrespective of what is happening in the court case, because the tendency is that once the matter there's a criminal case, the internal processes stop. And then people claim that, no, let's await the outcome of the cases. These are two different processes. I think by now, SAPS is in a position to charge these members so that if they're found guilty, they are expelled with immediate effect in terms of the internal disciplinary processes, irrespective of the outcome of the criminal matter. I want clarification there. Lastly, Chair, this matter seems to have been, what triggered this matter seems to have been just a traffic violation. Because, well, by law, we understand that the blue light brigade must then be given, you must give way to them, like people would normally do. Let's just assume that for whatever reason, these victims did not get an opportunity to make way for the convoy. It's a traffic violation. It was not necessarily a criminal matter, because surely if the life of the Deputy President was in danger, why would they use a polo to try and stop such powerful SUVs or whatever? I think it was just an overreaction. But maybe will be clarified how did this traffic violation degenerate to a brutal assault on civilians. Lastly, to IPET, Chair, we know that IPET works a great deal within the SAPS. However, we've seen recently with the strike of taxi strike in Cape Town, where the city police or metro police there were brutalizing the demonstrators and the strikers there. IPET at some point needs to tell us, or maybe not today, maybe in the future, how many cases of the metro police are they dealing with in terms of police brutality, and how far can they go and investigate such matters? Thank you very much, Chair, for now.
Thank you, Honorable Koza. Honorable Shekima.
Thank you very much, Acting Chairperson, and allow me to acknowledge the presence of the Minister, Deputy Minister, Commissioner, and all IPET hawks, and all my colleagues. Now, Chairperson, I am of the opinion that to some extent what we're doing today is premature, because we seem to be also delving into the merits and demerits, despite being told that this matter before the court. But we're expecting some answers here that might prejudice the actual case before the court. But okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, and I want to just deviate a little bit, since we're talking about a lot about police brutality here. and it's not directly linked to this. And please pardon me for the chairperson. If Minister can tell us what is he doing about the South African that was brutally assaulted by Mozambican police. There's videos floating around all over. If something is being done about that. Now, I hear a lot about police brutality, police abuse. One thing I don't hear about the number of police officers that are getting gunned down mercilessly at the hands of criminals. So it seems like we concentrate more on the protection of the rights of criminals. And that makes me ask the question, where do we draw a line, Chairperson, on what is police brutality and what is not? To what extent do police officers have to act not only to protect themselves, but to protect innocent civilians? And is there enough ongoing training and workshop being afforded to them so that at all given time, together with wellness program, checking on their state of mind and things, they are in a very violent society at the moment. Do we have such programs to be able to continuously engage with them, have some kind of platform to come back and tell senior management what experiences and what is different that they are experiencing so that we could address this? I can tell you, to be a police officer is actually in South Africa, it's a crime on its own by the looks of it, in my view. But be that as it may. Now, on the issue particularly of this incident, my question is, and to some extent it's been raised, I want to know how long more is this investigation expected, given the fact that these 8 officers now will be getting full salaries while in suspension. It's a norm in the country. People are getting paid for 5 years and more, some I think 20 years, with under suspension and getting paid. How long more? Because now you've replaced them, obviously, and I think you have, and they're also getting paid. So it's a waste of taxpayers' money. How long do we expect? And I know the courts can tell us that, but surely SAPS will be able to answer how long more we are expecting this matter before it will actually be finalized. Then the other, when you talk about the police officers and the way they're conducting themselves, is it not that we should start re-looking, and I know Minister has agreed with this, even the National Commissioner and things, the entire recruitment process, so that we identify those with a passion to want to be police officers. They'll have a better understanding of what they're responsible. In fact, the question I want to ask you, do these VIP protection understand
Honorable Sheikh Imam, are you still there? Okay, let's continue. Honorable Golding.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I'd like to start off by asking that we recognize those who are doing well in the SAP. And I'll take a moment just to recognize the life of Colonel Franz Matipa, who was gunned down on the 6th. And we're looking at those members who are actually highly competent and executing properly in their function and their job. And then we're dealing with separate units who are possibly a bit rogue. So there are a couple of questions.
Is there some all here?
Am I on the platform or not? Acting Speaker? Acting Chair? Can I continue?
Continue, Honorable Golding. Honorable Sheikh Imam, you'll come back later after Honorable Golding.
Thank you, Chair. So what I'd like to confirm, there's been back and forth here. The question is, was the Deputy President in the convoy, yes or no? So there's 2 things from that. If he was, it then means that one of his protection vehicles stopped, peeled off, while the rest carried on, which impacted on his safety. If he was not in the convoy, where was their principal and what were they doing? Because if he's not in that convoy, surely there's no urgency, there's no need for blue lights, there's no need for high speed. They're protecting nobody at that point. There is no principle in that convoy. So there's no urgency and there's no need for any action. Further to that, seeing as these are VIP vehicles, one could fairly assume that these vehicles may have in-car cameras record such incidents. If that is the case, have you received any of this information? We are dealing with SAP's disciplinary actions and IPID actions, but there's a secondary or a tertiary side to that. Is, has there been any indication of a civil claim yet? As was indicated, there's lots of instances of civil claims against SAPs. And I'm suspecting in this case, due to the actions of these members, we will yet again see civil claims lodged against SAPs at the cost of the taxpayer. And the question is, if those civil claims are lodged, at which point do we hold members personally liable? Not just by the state, by the taxpayer, but do we hold them personally liable if they're found guilty of this offence? That is all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Sheki, ma'am, you want to come in?
Yes, Chair. I don't know what went actually wrong there. Sorry about that, Chair. Yeah, to some extent, I read some reports that these members being SANDF were being blocked from making any statements and things. They're being restricted because obviously they are all civil servants. Maybe if the department can actually comment on that and tell us whether there is such a thing and what we're actually doing about it. I also thought I must tell the minister that one of his police officers were almost gunned down in the M4 yesterday or the day before as well. This is how police officers are getting gunned down. So that was my next question. And I see that a statement was being made that we are now going to be strengthening more control measures. Are we then conceding that there has been some weaknesses in the officers' understanding, or are we putting in measures in place to ensure that these VIP units and officers understand their role? And why this 11th hour? Why do we have to wait for incidents of this nature to take place before we decide to put measures in place to try and prevent these things? I'll stop there for now. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable Minister and your team.
Thanks very much, Chairperson. I'm not very sure. The matter was raised basically by both presenters, but especially the IPID of the matter being sub judice. Really, there are court questions. I'm not either the prosecutor or the lawyer, but there are very specific questions that will have to be answered in court, especially from Honorable Mfundis. Those questions that in some that will have to be answered in court, specific about the case, specific about what happened, specific about the responses that will be given by those members. I'm not sure how do we really handle those questions. And you remember, this is a public platform. This is a platform where you are under oath, whoever he or she is, and then I'm sure whoever the lawyers, it's got a lot of interest. I'm sure the lawyers, there are political parties, there are semi-political parties that have taken the matter. There are civic organizations that have taken the matter, and I would request that it should not be the platform of really of trying the case and answering the questions of the court. I'll request that the portfolio committee understands that. Chair. Chairperson, there are matters that I will dispute, and I'm prepared to stand and argue them in a very long. There is no culture of impunity as raised by Honorable Whitefield within the members of the South African Police. There is absolutely no culture of impunity. There are problems within the organization where the members go wayward, like all other organizations as they go wayward. You whether it's at school, or where I'm sure you've seen that viral, that racism that is happening even at school and all that. There will be members in any given organization that will behave otherwise. Even in church, there are several trials that are going on, putting the men of cloth in the court and all. So those things happen. So I'm not going to say then there is a culture of impunity or culture of sinning in the church, a culture of impregnating kids at school and all that. So there will be individuals that are out of order, and accordingly you deal with them, especially the police. The members of the South African Police, many of them, they are doing absolutely good job, no doubt about it. Maybe that's why more and more police that are doing serious work are gunned down, including the Hawks, including, unfortunately, this quarter that will be releasing, the number of police that have been killed on and off duty have increased. The number has increased. Maybe Honorable Member Sheikh does put us on the understanding to say our responsibility as these people elected is to do both, is to do to the communities. They'll have to do correct things, and to do to the police, they'll have to do correct things. It does look like we are not taking communities on board to say they have responsibility themselves. Chairperson, I have moved with the police. I'm sure that's another story. What do you do then? All that kind of thing. There is just absolutely understanding to say police should not do their work, sometimes by hardcore criminals. You know, police, they'll go to arrest somebody, and somebody say, you can't arrest me because there is IP. I'll tell IPID. I'll tell IPID. And they will, police will go and arrest somebody and say that somebody, don't touch me, is an assault to touch me. Now, I wonder how that person is going to be arrested if it's she or no, not touched. But Chairperson, I'm prepared to talk about also the groups of some lawyers who come together and move around those people that have been arrested to work on them to put the claim against the police and against the state. It has become some kind of a fundraising scam, especially in one province that I know, one or two. So when then we are looking one side, we are encouraging such kind of schemes to continue and take place going forward. Let me explain that police in South Africa, they've got two communities that they need to police. They've got ordinary community that have all the rights to protest, to raise their issues, either the unions, either the school kids, and police have a responsibility of policing those people with a soft glove, with an understanding to say those people have a constitutional right to do so. And those police must work within the law. Hence, they are trained as public order policing, and indeed 4,000 of them have just been trained out of the 10,000 that has come out of the college. We need to train more. There are almost 9,000. We need to at least to reach 12 to 13,000 to be able to respond to those things. There are those people that are policing, ordinary South Africans, I guess, including this that happened on that particular road, though we don't know what happened on that particular, and the court situation will tell us what happened on that particular day. Then there is a second category that the South African police must police. That category are the people who go for planning, and in their particular planning, elimination of whoever is on their way must be planned. Is a part of planning. Is a part of planning that when these police come, shoot them. When these security people come, shoot them. So those cases are planned in a way, and those cases end up people dying. And indeed, I don't understand why, if and when police they respond to such situation, and that will be regarded as brutality. So maybe ourselves will have to, together with the colleagues, by the way, who are members of parliament, to talk about these things. That South African police are one of those services that are practicing their work under the brutal situation where many criminals, they eliminate police and they plan to eliminate police officers as they do their work. So somehow, we'll have to find the balance between that and the communities that themselves are ugly hearts to say they'll eliminate the police, but eliminate even the members of the community that stand on their way when they go for their criminality. Maybe so it will help us to better understand on those matters. The structures of dealing with the police that are getting out of the way must be there. IPIT is the main one. Anti-corruption unit within the South African Police is the main one. And the one that we want to formulate as they were announced, especially on those soft cases where police become bad, especially at the front line against abused women, abused children, ordinary community, when women go to report in police stations and they are told to go back and negotiate, they are ridiculed and all that. That's an area that we want to focus, and the area that we are working, that police must be sympathetic, must understand these things, that when women come to police station, that's the last hope for them to come there. That takes on board what has been raised by Honorable Majosi, that you do that, but you also do on the well-being and welfare of the police, of which there are those structures who are trying, they're not strong enough, I agree. Those structures of well-being, of welfare of the police, we are strengthening those structures. I think we are trying to get more psychologists, more social workers, putting them on systems so that they are able to work on that. Honorable Majosi is raising the question of, are these members angry? I would simply say yes, Honorable Majosi. But these members, they come from also a highly angry community and society. That's why you'll find that people get sentenced. Somebody just got sentenced, I think last night, for murdering 3 of her kids. He's a medical doctor, this person. In Eastern Cape, they are burying 3 kids that way. So it's not just within this organization. I agree, they are trained, they must do better and all that. But maybe as the members of parliament, we must take on board the situation of South Africa and we work on all that situation rather than concentrate on one element. We are dealing with angry society. We're dealing with people that they kill their own kids, they rape their own daughters, their own mothers. So I want to make a clarion call here to say, dealing with these matters, let's broaden. That does not mean that the members of the South African police who get out of the way, they must be punished accordingly and corrected accordingly. The last point I want to make here, the convoy of the deputy president normally has 7 cars. I think there will be 6 from South African Police Service and 1 from the SANDF. Usually that is a medical kind of a car. Usually there are 7. Now, the DP was in the convoy, was not on the crime scene, where I think 2 of his cars they pulled off to deal with that matter. Talking to him, he realized at home that there were two cars that peeled off. Realized at home, did not know until was told later or so later that incident has happened. So that's a question. That is my briefing about the presence of the deputy president on that particular day in that convoy. 7 cars, 2 peeled off, which means 5 continued. And indeed, it can be explained with discipline or explained in court what was the impact of that peeling off and what made them to peel off when the rest of the convoy was driving forward. Chairperson, disciplinary matters and court matters will be answered by the ED and the National Commissioner with their team accordingly. But I would request that we don't go deep on the court and court case matters. Thanks, Chair.